Alright, we have arrived at episode 45 here in the challenge series. No, I didn't have to think about that. Shut up. This whole backlog business that I did made me very confused with the numbers. At any rate, episode 45, go figure the 45 vehicle is in the thumbnail. I was gonna say 45 car. It's not really a car, it's like the furthest thing from that, actually. Furthest thing here. It's such a dramatic contrast in the three cars in this picture. We have a pickup truck, basically a sedan with the rear wing and a crazy paint job, and then a Bugatti Veyron. Yeah, Usually two of these cars I would see on my way into town. Not the Veyron, though. And we are green for the first race of this episode as we very slowly head towards the first corner at Suzuka. The 600 class. What? I guess Melissa Weiss was just locked up the brakes and slid back in front of traffic. Alright, that's a great start to this one. We've gotten through 2 corners and we've already had somebody spin out. Yeah, 600 class racing here, Suzuka East Circuit. Because, well, if we were to actually run, if we were to actually run the 600 class cars at the normal Suzuka layout, we couldn't do more than 2 laps. But here we do 6. Hanamura throwing Minako completely off with slight movement down the front stretch. We do have a new vehicle in the field for this event. Joe Moore has allegedly sold off his Challenger, and now he runs in the 600 class, driving SCCA spec NRA Miata Cup car. So it's certainly a threat in the handling department, but its horsepower leaves a little to be desired. If I remember right, the Atenza is the only 4-wheel drive vehicle. No, it's not. It's one of 2 600 class cars with all-wheel drive, the other one being the Delta, which is not really benefiting him too much. I think he's still back here ways. 17th. As Melissa lost an absolute metric shitload of time from that spin earlier. She's like 1/3 of the racetrack behind the leader. Or no, 1/3 of the racetrack behind everybody else. She's like on the opposite side of the track from the leader. Minako squeezing to the inside of Mulsanne, forcing the Alpine to make space. A good exit also gets her ahead of Dedrick Schwartz, as Ivan has taken the lead and with his insane amount of horsepower at his disposal, begins to pull ahead of the field. Unless Minako has something to say about that, which looks like she probably will. bumper to bumper heading through the S's. Sneaks to his outside on the last part, and that's quite an unusual move. At least an unusual move to be able to have pulled off on the leader. And with that, she takes the lead as we take 2 to go. I don't know if it was mentioned or not, but when the 600 class was disbanded, two cars were salvaged and moved into the 600 class. Emmy managed to convert her Suzuki Swift, into a Class 600 vehicle, and then also Minako's Atenza has also been moved to 600. And it seems to be working. She's already pulled, like, a second or two lead over Sotokov. Well, Sun's right after the back of Dedrick Schwartz, but I don't know if she'll be able to do anything about it. In other words, in the S section. And heading through the last turn, the downshift for extra points actually gets a little loose because of that downshift, but Minako Kochiya is going to take a convincing victory at Suzuka East. But a 2-second margin of victory. Ivan and Hanaya will be on the podium alongside her. And no, she certainly made it look straightforward, at least. Thomas was a big mover in that race as well, as he started in the bottom 10 and ended up producing an 8th spot finish. Melissa never quite recovered from that, and Joe Moore's debut was lackluster at best, since he started 10th and was passed by 5-6 people, so not quite his best showing. What the fuck? Okay, we got the first 2 lights, but not the third one. Anyway, countdown failures aside, we're here for the second race of the episode. Red Bull Ring in 640 class vehicles. You've been struck by truck. Particularly the truck of Martin Simpson, as seen in the thumbnail. Anyone's thinking it? No. The use of the driver number 40, or the driver numbered 45 in episode 45 was a pure coincidence. Yeah, I won't be using that camera much in this race. God, where did that yawn come from? Holy crap. Anyways, I was about to say, there are 2 new drivers in this race. We have Fernando Fadanzi. I don't remember how he's related to Francesca, but he is, in fact, I think it's a brother. He is running in a very unusual vehicle. He has a Maserati Merak? I'm not sure. Shrek. I don't know. And we have John Tanner, or Tanner Johnson. And he's driving a Challenger. Looking at the bios of the two, from what I was provided with. Who am I on? Oh, I'm looking at Fernando. He defends from Axel Valentine to hang on to 9th place. But I think he's about to get swarmed. Through goes Simpson, and I'm surprised Axel didn't follow Martin through. Apparently Fernando is a ladies' man. One of those thinks he's very suave, but actually has the charisma of a TV remote type guys. And, John Tanner is a detective from Chicago who's here undercover, but he doesn't actually know who he's after, which is kind of a weird thing. You'd think a detective would know that sort of stuff. Apparently his Challenger doesn't normally look like this at all. It's just, you know, like most other vehicles here, racing decorum. He's also one of very few drivers who has a license plate on their car. And even more so, a license plate that's like an actual license plate and not either vanitized or just like just a slightly different company on the car. As halfway through the event, Neo Kaminaga is leading the way, but Martin Simpson is entering the picture. He's just moved up to 4th ahead of Fidel Fabian. Ellie is right on the back of John Tanner. Wonder if that's intentional. It has to be. As Simpson goes up the outside of Damien Kotexa and gets whacked for his troubles by the Raptor driver. As, meanwhile, Maki is trying to find some way to clear the R32. We got, like, David's battling, and then we got the Goliaths battling behind them. And then there's just Fidel. Actually, having said that, Damien is right up both of them. Everyone's just very close quarters at the moment, to be honest. Like, right, I can't use that camera. Truck too big. Truck also a bit unstable. Martin still has not found a way to overtake the Shelby Raptor. And Martin gets run off again, and this time honks of disapproval. And he gets run off a 3rd time by Damien. Surprisingly, he elects to not attack, instead opting for an overtake. As Maki misses turn 1 completely, as she tries to make a pass on Kaminaga, but will not succeed. Switcheroo maneuver. Gets into the back of Kotexa. Okay, Martin's had enough, and around goes the Raptor. Nice 360. He might hold on to 4th from that spin recovery. A cunning stunt. Oh, okay. Martin, he seems to be in the hurry up, as they would say, or that, or he just got a stick out, he just shoved right up his ass. Like, if he passed Damien that way, that's one thing, because Damien ran into him 3 times, but Neo did nothing, and she's also gonna lose second to that. So, last turn completed for Truck! And Maki and Neo remain on the podium with him. Damien didn't even lose that much time. He might have honestly caught back up to them if there were another lap of racing, because I'm sure Maki would have been able to catch Martin. And they would have battled, and Damien would have made up time through that point. Yeah, so, John Tanner, which, honestly, I think I prefer calling him that over Tanner Johnson. He has, made an alright debut. I think he finished exactly where he started. And, same thing goes for Fernando. I don't think he finished, I think he still finished a little below where he started, but he didn't do bad by any means. Somebody who did do bad was your boy, who didn't have the necessary horsepower for this track, to say the least. This S14 has not done me too well since I got it. I obviously wasn't going to complain or say no to it when it was given to me, but despite how much I love S14s, this thing has not helped me much at all. I got the 1 win the first time I used it, and then ever since then I have been below average generously. And race 3 of the episode is green. We are at Tokyo South, and we are on board with Kazuya Takahata. Every time I read that man's name, I just think, that sounds like a Yakuza game villain, or some kind of villain in, like, some form of Japanese media. Yakuza, Persona, Tekken, Street Fighter. It just sounds like a benevolent, evil person name. I don't know why, but it just does. This is a bit of an unusual race. Well, we're in Tokyo, obviously. That's not the unusual part. The unusual part is that every single car in this race is Japanese, in this 680 class race. They are all Japanese. Toyota, Mazda, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Mazda, Honda, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Subaru, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Mazda, Toyota, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Mazda. So yeah, we got a bit of extreme Tokyo racing going on. No, access denied. Nope, no room for that. Because he's already made his way through half of the grid. I'll be a little bit unstable there. One lap in the books, and Akira is attempting to evade the Taniguchi family. Invade, but Akira's gone. Like, he and his sister are just out of here. Meanwhile, Hikari is under a lot of pressure at the moment. I think he started 4th, and he's already been passed by Akira and now Honoka for good measure, and now Takahata for good measure. So. But this R33 hasn't done him justice. Just say that much. Kazuya gets ahead of Nakazato. Takahata, I don't really think there was an R34's width there, but go off. And just like that, only 2 laps later, and a big snap oversteer. Seriously, you got all-wheel drive in that thing. How are you losing control that often? Suddenly Takahata finds himself on the back of the leader, Akira Taniguchi. Classic Supra vs. Skyline. In case you didn't see this enough on the internet, now you get to see it on a racetrack. Where winning might actually mean something. Meanwhile, Kira gets ahead of Michiko for 3rd place, so she's slowly but surely in pursuit of the 2 leaders. And the 2 leaders look like they're about to go too wide through the dockyard section. Who the heck was drifting back here? Akira won through the dockyards. Does Kazuya get aggressive? No, he doesn't. He's waiting for his moment. I think they're too wide here. Yes, they are. How brave are they into the next high-speed turn? Kazuya slots in ahead of Akira. But Akira has the run out, I think. No, he doesn't. Akira does get a little cavalier under braking, though. And he might have just edged back out ahead of the R34, and nope, they are too wide, heading up towards the S's to complete the lap. That was weird. Meanwhile, this has allowed the, at least Akira, just Akira, Kishibe to catch the 2 leaders. Finally, it looks like Kazuya might have gained the lead back. He never really had it. Akira goes desperate down the inside again. Uh-oh. Oh! Oh, Christ. Oh, Christ. He's got the hazards on. I think, oh yeah, that's not really how cars work. He must have some real bad crab walking from that wall impact. So we go back here and look. Okay, maybe not that. A little further back than that. Now, Kazuya pulled ahead here. And Akira, in his desperation, just smacked him into the wall, put Honoka in the wall too. This is kind of a silly spin. Well, it doesn't look nearly as bad from that angle. That looks pretty believable. But, like, from Kazuya's angle, it kind of looks like he gets tapped and, like, freaks out. He hits that outside wall, and his suspension's probably already broken from here. He bounces off it into Kira. Bounces off the other wall, collects Michiko and Honoka for good measure. And now he has, well, not terminal damage, but certainly damage that'll put him out of contention for the race here. And he's kind of in the middle of the racetrack, so he might need a caution for that. Apparently we're just, yeah, Nitori's just calling the race here. As people's off to the emergency lane. And so there are your results. Don't ask why we're suddenly looking at nighttime. That's definitely how time works. So Akira, with his fit of understeer, still takes the victory over Kishibe, Michiko Taniguchi, and Honoka ends up 4th, despite being smacked into the wall. And from what I understand, the R34 can be repaired, but it's gonna take a bit. He's managed to track down some, albeit expensive, replacement shocks. They'll take a while to reach his garage, so don't expect to see him anywhere on track the rest of the season. Or if he does, he's found some, like, second-hand R31 or something. I don't know. It's not gonna be this R34, I'll tell you that much. Whatever he might be in, it's not gonna be this, and I don't think it's gonna be an R32 either, because he already went through that. So yeah, I guess see you next time. See you next season, Kazuya. Assumingly, anyway. And we are green from the 4th race of this episode. 720 class at kind of an unusual circuit. We haven't really used St. Croix all that many times so far. I believe this might be the 2nd time that we have visited St. Croix. It might not even be the 2nd time. This might literally be the 1st time. But I think we've been here once. I'm riding along with Lin Shi Ganyu in her McLaren 12C. As she kind of understeers out of the hairpin and gets side-checked by Paul Valentine. Only 2 laps here. This lap is actually considerably longer than the lap at Spa. And alright, Kansei Drifto manages to keep that on the road by some miracle, it seems as though. I heard a bit of foul play up ahead, but wasn't on the camera. Wrong angle. There we go, I got there eventually, don't worry. Only took me 3 tries. Looking for 12th against the SLR McLaren. Or McLaren versus McLaren, and the MP4 just got the better run there. Sneaks to the inside of Honoka to grab 11th place away from the NSX. We'll be looking at a top 10 by the end of the bridge with the kind of momentum she's got. Gets in right into the back of Chip, or Tater Chip, if anyone's wondering what that is. Oh. Charlotte Riel just about turns Gunny around. Turns her into the Genesis driver. Quite a run out of that sweeper, so that'll be back to 9th for the McLaren. Mika Harris is elected to take the money and run. She's built up a pretty solid lead already, as my dad and Tyler fight for P2. And Ganyu gets into P8 ahead of Stephanie Kaiser, that Porsche just helpless down such a long straightaway. And is now faced with Cam versus Brian Ice transpiring in front of her. Now it's just Ice. Oh, that's a little bit brazen on the brakes, and that doesn't quite work. Ice gets back ahead, but Ganyu might try and change that here. Slots in ahead of the Diablo, forgot the name, for P6. Also gets a run on Nitori out of the same corner and is up into P5 like that. Oh god. Oh Jesus Christ. Your brakes still work. Unless you're knocked out from that. Maybe, honestly. What a weird crash. I think there's just a lack of perception there because, like, is there a width here? No, honestly. So, I don't even know. This is just a weird crash. Like, what do you really blame here? I mean, could say June could have given an inch more. You could also say Ganyu could have just backed out because they were 3 wide. Unless she didn't even know Tyler was there. Tyler probably also doesn't know that Lin Chi is there, and so he doesn't really have any wherewithal to move to the left here either. So I think that pretty much everybody could have done something different here, and it results in a very not good crash, to say the least. Because that is 125 miles an hour. It's not bad for the driver. I think the driver would be okay from this because it's just taking out the other part of the vehicle. But that's definitely going to destroy that McLaren real nicely. Just didn't watch the crash in slow motion. 125 down to about, well, 25. Okay, that one might be a little more concerning. No telling how fast Nitro was going when you made that impact, but probably at least 110. Well, she actually had some pretty solid reactions there. She managed to minimize that pretty well. What was her actual speed, though? I missed that. Yeah, this is pretty terrifying to see from her perspective. About 90 miles an hour to the rear quarter, so not really giving much impact to the driver's door per se, but it is that side of the car. And then backs into the wall at like 10 miles an hour. But yeah, that is ugly. And just collect Paul and it at like 12 miles an hour. And because the leader took the final lap, we do not have any opportunity to like throw a yellow and restart, so the race is made official here from that. So Mika Harris wins pretty dominantly over my dad. June will end up with 3rd, Tyler 4th, Ice 5th, Cam, Nitori, Stephanie, Tater Chip, and Ryan Wolf, the top 10. So, yeah. That was not pretty. We've had two... Well, you've had two DNFs in 2 races in a row. However, the difference between them is that Kazuya will be able to fix that R34, but the MP412C just took so much damage from that impact that there's no hope of getting that thing back to working condition. So, following that, let's head into the roulette round. Again, with the lights. Anyway, we are green for the roulette round, the final race of this episode. And it's the 3rd car in the thumbnail. Somewhere the camera has to pan around to find it. Risei Kujikawa in what I've lovingly dubbed the battery car, because this thing looks like a Duracell battery. Honestly, it should be sponsored by Duracell. I'm going to try and tell her to work on trying to get that to happen. I think it would be hilarious if this thing were sponsored by Duracell. They sponsor a different car in the series. They sponsor Dom DePrisco's Group 4, so if they're willing, they've sponsored something else. As Risei gives me a slight tag, but ultimately I'm the one that overreacted because I thought it was going to be way worse than what it actually was. We are not even through to... We're just past into Sector 3, and Risei is already about to take the lead away from Ellie. This is gonna be a blowout, I think. The hairpins won't do the Veyron too many favors, but I think the second that we get onto that front straightaway, Risei is just gonna take the lead and run away. I mean, they've already built a pretty good gap to 3rd, as probably helped by the fact that there's a lot of 680 cars here. Jake's 720, he's the next in line. And so it goes. My god. Risei is indeed the leader. And is already pulling quite a margin on Ellie. This thing looks smaller in pictures, and then you look at it here, and this thing is bigger than the Charger. At least it's wider than the Charger. It's not bigger, but it's wider. I get that they've got this big attachment to the Fiat 500, but like... the rest of the category is in the hairpin chicane combination, and... like... this is like... 10 seconds behind the next car. I think you need to find a new ride for that class, or just not be in that class, because... obviously, if I didn't know that they were a decent driver, they wouldn't be here. So that Fiat 500 is just letting Tater Chip, I can't take it seriously, just letting them down pretty astronomically bad. I wasn't ready for that. Nope. As you can see, I'm understeering massively because I'm not ready for a GTO to be there. I am... the GTO is set up here. It's good on the my GTO. Not to be confused with that GTO, the Ferrari one. I've got some good power on the straights. I just have nothing in corners. As you can see, here's that straight line speed coming into full effect. Goodbye, Scott Webber. It's gonna be 190, by the way. Oh. For Ellie, Rise isn't even an object in front of her. Ellie's just got like the most boring race ever. Like, Rise is an entire corner ahead, she can't see her, and Jake is not close enough to be in her mirrors either. So, talk about no man's land, and much the same for Jake. The top three cars are just super spread the fuck out. And I suppose this is probably the very obvious byproduct of there only being one 760 class car in the whole race, and 3 720s. One of which is still languishing in 10th place because they don't have any straight line speed in their crossbow. The vast majority of this race lineup is 680 class. And here I thought I had this big top speed thing going, but Barbara's got just as much as me. Huh. Orleans forces himself up to the side of the Nismo, but even that doesn't work. He still can't make the pass. So in this race we have 4 600 class cars. Also, Tater Chip is not far away from being lapped by Rise. You have 4 600s, 4 640s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 680s, 3 720s, and then Rise. Is the lone representative of 760. So, ultimately this is her race to lose. And, she's definitely not losing it. Now at this kind of lead, she ain't. It's about a 6.5 second lead that Rise has built over Ellie. I believe she also just lapped down, yes, she just lapped down the 500 driver. At this point I'm beginning to wonder if somehow this is like a defective model, and if Tater Chip put like maximum upgrades in the lounge trim of this thing, if it would do a bit better, because it just doesn't look good. Also, I just realized this is not a 600 class. Natsuki's in a 640 car, and this is not going well. She's behind 2 600 class cars. Ivan Sodokov almost makes sense because this thing's got the power of a 640 class. there's no excuse to be behind this thing. It's sitting at, like, 280 horsepower. This thing's sitting at 330, and you can't find a way around it. That's just a you problem. That's a skill issue. I think she's in the same boat as me with my S14, I almost want to say. Because neither of us are getting good results out of our respective S-chassis machines. As we begin what will undoubtedly be the final lap of the race. And it seems as though only the top 3 are going to get to run that final lap because the timer has expired, so... Stephanie's race has just concluded, and with that, so has everyone else's. Unfortunately for Eric, who I think probably had a shot at taking 4th from her, if there were more laps. Lap Tater Chip on the cooldown lap. I think, actually, I wonder if... Oh yeah, no, they weren't allowed to finish the lap either. So it is now nearly an 8-second lead, to the credit of the Veyron driver. It's like, part of me is like, oh my god, this has been a hugely dominant performance, but like, that's exactly what should be happening here, because this car is an entire category above literally everything else on the circuit. Rise would have no excuse to not dominate this event. And Ellie and Jake didn't get any closer together either. So, I mean, although she got nowhere near the overall win, certainly no fault of hers, Ellie can still say that she dominated the 720 class. So... While we're on that subject, bruh. And so with that, Rise Kujikawa will run away with the matter at Fuji Speedway. Ellie and Jake Scarborough will join her on the podium in the 720 class. Sebastian Orleans with a day to forget because just no cohesion between car and circuit combination at all. A cornering vehicle at a top speed circuit like Fuji was bound to be a disaster for him. Mosen has won the 640 class, Sodakov the 600, and Natsuki not great, Tater Chip not great, Orleans not great. Every category had like that one driver that just like did not do much of anything. And so with that mild snooze fest out of the way, that'll conclude episode 45, where next time maybe we will have a closer roulette race. I guess they can't all be winners, especially not one compared to the one we had last week, which is probably changing my mindset a tiny bit, but not that much. Like, yeah, sure, that was one of the top Challenge Series races ever, because the lead 2 were battling for like 3 laps straight or so. It can't all be like that, but I mean, my god, Rise got to the lead at the end of the first lap, and then we just ran 8 more minutes of nothing.